Hello you guys, and welcome to another video. It has been a very long time, and I have no excuse. I actually have some footage on my camera, but I went through this phase where I started a vlog and I was like, oh, I'll just pick it up after the weekend because I had a very crazy weekend, and then I picked it up 5 different times but never finished it. So I've just been frustrated because I really did want to include the beginning of this vlog, which was a cut update, but I did end my cut exactly a week ago now. So I was in a fat loss phase for 10 or 11 weeks, and this footage is from the week before I ended my cut. So I did make a little more progress after this. I'm gonna play that footage now for you guys. I asked on Instagram for you guys to ask me some questions about my fat loss phase or just fat loss phases in general. So I'm gonna use this vlog to cover all of that stuff. I started my cut when I was in a surplus, I should say. So before my cut, I was at 2,700 calories and I weighed like 134 pounds. I said 133 in that caption, but I know the highest my weight ever got was like 134.8, 135. And I'll include some photos from the end of my cut compared to the beginning now. But so a really good spot food-wise. Everything internally was in a great place. I have a whole video about knowing you're ready to start a cut, and I was very, very ready. So I took a week or two to kind of go down to my maintenance, and then I started my cut from there. So at the end of my cut, my lowest weight was like 126.5, and I just kind of got to a point where I was like, I really don't want to get leaner than this, and I also feel like if I do, I just don't think that I'll feel as strong, I don't think I'll be as healthy, etc. So I called it quits. That was the end of my cut, and I want to talk about the mindset component first because this was the first cut that I did by myself. And a big reason I wanted to do it because I wasn't necessarily uncomfortable where I was at higher. I did kind of want to tighten up a little bit for summer, but it wasn't from a place of me not being confident. The last cutting days I've been through actually have been in that same place, and just as expected, I don't feel any more confident in my body now that I'm leaner. Some of my clothes fit a little better and stuff like that, but still a lot of clothes that actually don't fit because your girl's grown a butt since last summer. But a couple of reasons I wanted to start this cut. One was I really, through my growing phase, wanted to take you guys, which I did a pretty good job of. I feel like growing, not as much as dieting phase, but I want to take you guys through a growing phase and then a fat loss phase and show you how I did it. The other thing was I really wanted to push myself. I will do whatever any coach tells me. I've never had a problem following a program to a T. But it's really hard to coach yourself. And, you know, in a growing phase, pushing yourself when you are uncomfortable to keep growing. But in a deficit, especially where I'm at now, which is kind of cool to struggle with this, honestly, coming from the background I do. It's really, really easy for me to be like, I'm just not going to hit my macros today. I'm just going to skip cardio. I'm just not going to get in my steps. And I really wanted to focus on keeping the promises that I make to myself while also maintaining the balance in my life, because that is something I've struggled with as well, is when I'm dieting, like all the balance goes out the window and I'm like, oh, it's just short term. But if your approach isn't sustainable, your results aren't going to be sustainable long term. And also you get one life. So even if, yeah, it's just 12 weeks or whatever, why do you want to miss out on 12 weeks of your life? You know, I'm just really, really proud of how I maintained the balance in my life. And I was nowhere close to perfect, but I was so freaking consistent. And I'm really proud of keeping the promises I made to myself, even when it wasn't convenient. As far as weight goes, like I said, I ended at around 126.5. So that would be like 8 pounds. So yes, I was already lean before, and not everyone is going to start a cut, obviously, in a lean position. Every other cut I've done before, I've been much thicker if you want to use that word. But even me as a coach with clients, when we're in a building phase, I want to focus on building lean mass and minimizing fat gain. And that will make a cut easier. And I'm someone who my food has to get relatively low when I cut and cardio has to get relatively high. That's just how my body is. It takes a lot of food for me to grow, and I have to drop things pretty low to cut. And you guys know that if you've been around here. But it makes it so much easier when, like, every prep I've had to lose like 25, 30 pounds, you know? And it makes it so much easier when I don't have that crazy amount of weight to lose. So I think that actually really helped set me up for success. I wasn't insulin resistant, struggling with any of that stuff. But I feel like a lot of your questions that you guys want to know will probably be asked in the questions here. So first question, how many calories did you drop? You look bomb, and you did before too. Thank you. So at the end, my calories were around 1,600, and I was doing 30 minutes of cardio 5 times a week. So I just wouldn't do my cardio the day after my leg days because my legs were always really tired, and I wanted to let them recover. So yeah, like a total of 1,000 calories. Obviously gradually. Okay. I thought you said you only wanted to lose 5 pounds. What made you want to lose more? So this is why I don't go by the scale, right? If I looked at myself, I was like, oh, I just want to tighten up a little bit. And I thought that would be like maybe a few pounds. But I lost like 3, 4, whatever pounds. And well, I guess I didn't really think about it. I was like, I lost 5 pounds and I'm done. I've never been one to have a goal weight. I go based off how I look, how things fit, how I feel, right? And this is where I ended up. So yeah, I wasn't like super set on a number. I was just kind of like guessing that where I would end up would be around 5 pounds, and it ended up being a little bit more. Finding the balance and how much did you eat out per week? So it varied. I had a few weekends where I had guests in town, and I would just take the weekend off of tracking. And obviously I knew that that was going to prolong my diet, but that was okay, and I made smart choices when I was eating out, right? I think a lot of people correlate eating out with like getting the burger and fries and 5 drinks. And like, I made smart choices, and a huge piece of balance is being educated and understanding nutrition. So again, like making smart choices when I was out. But I definitely did have a few days where I didn't, and I took an untracked meal every week. But I would say in this deficit, I was pretty mindful, even when I was eating out. And when I did, and I went overboard, I just knew it was going to prolong my deficit. But don't get in the position where you're eating out, gaining a few pounds, which obviously is just water, it's not fat. And then by the time you lose it, you're having like a free meal, you know? So I think the more you can educate yourself and work on your relationship with food so you can control yourself when you're out, and, you know, even if you're not tracking, just like be mindful. That was really, really helpful for me, right? Letting go of like the all or nothing, I need to be perfect or like ball out, just being in the gray. I'm 12 weeks into a deficit but struggling to lose the last few pounds. Do you continue the deficit? I would need to know more about how your deficit is gone, where your food's at, cardio's at, training's at. It sounds like it would be a really good time to implement a diet break or a refeed. So going back up to maintenance for a week or two, or I've shown a refeed day and talked about refeeds. So implementing a refeed into the mix, because my guess is that your body is just stressed and tired, and it's not concerned with losing body fat when it's stressed and tired. How to stay full and energized when water and fiber just don't cut it anymore. So if you're in a deficit and you're really hungry. One, more voluminous foods help, but the thing is, if you're in a deficit, you're going to be hungry. That's just a part of it. Everyone experiences hunger differently. Like, I don't experience hunger much in the form of like stomach hunger. A lot of it's just I get really irritable, very brain foggy, stuff like that. But I would say spreading your meals out. So for me, having 4 or 5 like larger meals instead of a bunch of smaller ones really, really helps. And then choosing more voluminous, fibrous foods does help as well. Also, make sure that your food's not too low. You know, the goal during a fat loss phase is to make progress, eating as much as you can and doing as little as you can. how to have an abundance mindset and not eat the same foods 24/7. So I could do a whole video about just abundance mindset as a whole, but don't eat the same foods 24/7. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if this is like a fear, but I think if it is, it's important to ask yourself, like, why? Why are you scared of eating different foods? If it's more of just a routine thing, which I've so been there too, and you guys know I eat like my freaking cream and rice every day, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but it is very important to get in nutrient diversity, right? Just for gut health, gut diversity, getting different nutrients in that are really, really important. But I would like plan out new meals, like even just incorporate one new meal. If you plan out your meals for the week or whatever, incorporate one new meal, right? Or if you're planning out your meals for the next day, just put one new meal in there. So you don't need to do it all at once, you know? But at the end of the day, it is up here, right? And it is with anything, like, you gotta just do it. How to change your mindset from eating a lot of food to cutting it down. I get rebellious. And I know a lot of people are like this, and it's one of those where, like, you want what you can't have, right? And I know it's kind of human nature, I think. Like, when I start cutting, I can complain about how much I'm eating, and then I start cutting, and all of a sudden I'm like, why don't I have more macros? But I think creating new meals that you're excited about is really, really helpful. And also, like, you have to want to be doing what you're doing, you know? And I think that that's part of why it's always been so easy for me to stick to the phases that I'm in, because I know that they have a purpose, and I've always like wanted to do them even when they're hard. But I really do think that creating meals that you're really, really excited about is really helpful, and also just like checking yourself, like making it a challenge for yourself, because I know for me, like, I'm a prove I can do something, you know? So almost making it a challenge of like, I'm gonna stick to my damn macros today. Why weight would be fluctuating so drastically during a fat loss phase. I'm not sure how much your weight is fluctuating. You know, a couple pound fluctuation day to day is really, really normal. But my biggest guess would be, one, obviously, like, if it's hormonal and you're coming up on your cycle, that could be it. But if it's more so than normal, usually it's recovery. And that was the biggest thing I noticed for myself. The first thing I noticed when I started deficit, it's not hunger, it's not being more tired, it's not lower energy, it's that I don't recover as well. When I'm at maintenance or surplus, I recover like that. Like, do not get sore. I'll be inflamed for like the rest of the day or something after I train legs, but when I started deficit, and it's the first thing, everyone's different. For some people, that might be like the last straw. Like, you know you're suffering if you're not recovering, but that's like the first thing to go for me. So when your body's not recovering, it's gonna be inflamed. So for me, I noticed much bigger weight fluctuations around like my leg days and stuff, when I would wake up really, really sore the next day. So if you're doing a lot of cardio, especially like running or things that are a lot of impact, that can cause a lot of inflammation as well. So if you have a coach, I would talk to them, because they'll probably be able to nail it down. But that would be my biggest guess, unless it's something hormonal. What do your calories look like in a cut? So again, it like slowly tapered down. I think I like started my deficit at around 2,000. So I was at maintenance. You're typically gonna want to drop like 500 calories below maintenance, and I was just doing steps. And then by the end, I was doing, like I said, 30 minutes of cardio 5 times a week and 1,600 calories. But it was like very slow, it tapers down. And I know for myself, I have to do like bigger drops, and then I'll stay on those macros for a while. So I'm pretty sure I did like 2,000 calories, like 20 minutes of cardio. And then I was at like 1,800, maybe 1,775. 25 minutes of cardio, and then I dropped it. So I didn't change it a ton. But like I said, that's not the approach I would take with everyone. I just know for myself, if I'm like decreasing by like 100 calories every time, my body's gonna adapt to that, and I would be cutting for forever. So that's just how I do it. What was most helpful in your weight loss during this cut? Discipline. Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't consistent, I wouldn't have made progress. And I was definitely not always motivated. There were so many days I was like, I don't even care. So I think discipline is the biggest thing, and just strategically being in such a good spot. This is the easiest I've ever lost weight. This has been like the most like steady and consistent I've been able to lose weight with traveling, with all the things that I did. And obviously I had to be disciplined and consistent. But if I hadn't reverse dieted, stayed there for a long time, and started my cut in such a good place, I would not be here still with the cycle, still feeling good, not dealing with any like real difficulties. If I wanted to lose more, I'd probably stop my food more, and then it would probably suck, but whatever. Breakdown of cardio versus weights. So I weight train 5 times a week. Usually I'm there for 45 minutes an hour. Cardio, like I said, 30 minutes 5 times a week. Why am I going up and down in pounds during my cut? Because weight fluctuates. Longest amount of time you can cut for. This totally depends. I have clients who we cut for 7 weeks, 6 weeks. And I have clients who have dieted for 8 or 9 months, which when I say that sounds really bad. But we have to remember I'm a lifestyle coach. So some people, just like I said, I don't like to like very slowly taper down my food. Like I'm just like, I know my body is, don't want it to adapt. Let's freaking go. A lot of clients, like, they want to live their freaking life, take weekends off, have a lot of refeeds, not have to have food get super low, you know? So I pay a lot more attention to biofeedback, and I wouldn't be like, oh, I can only cut for this amount of time. Pay attention to what your body's doing and how it's responding and what you are doing in terms of your protocols. So yeah, my advice is really just to pay attention to biofeedback, because, you know, if I was less extreme, I probably could have dieted for longer, and I just know my body, and I was like, I'm not prepping, and like it's not worth sacrificing my health or anything. And I would say mentally I was kind of like over it too, but that is something to look at as well, right? Like, how are you mentally feeling during your cut? So again, the clients who I've had who diet for a really, really long time, it's because everything internally is in a good place. Mentally, they're in a good place. They're like, I'm cool, I'm coasting, right? I'm honestly more hesitant to have people do like really, really short-term drastic diets, just because the probability of rebounding is so much worse and like messing things up internally. But you really do just want to pay attention to how you feel. So there's a lot of like repeats in there. So just wanted to get this up, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. Already recorded a full day of eating reverse dieting, so that'll be up very shortly. But thank you for watching. Comment, share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.